Hello, everyone. Yui here, back with another commentary. Before Gladiator 2 comes out, we're doing the original Ridley Scott's 2000 film Gladiator. It's me and Pat. You can listen to this on its own, or you can sync it up with your copy of the film as we do a countdown, and we'll start it right now. Three, two, one, go. Oh, I guess I probably should have said this is a theatrical cut, but I just found out there's an extended cut in the first place. Uh, so yeah, you'll probably, listener, you'll probably be able to tell based on the runtime of the video, which cut it is. But yeah, just in case, that is the theatrical.
Yeah, even in the studio logos, like I rewatched this yesterday just to kind of get myself primed. And, I was like 13 in a movie theater with my dad watching this. My second Ridley Scott, technically, the first one was Alien. I watched on VHS like sometime before. But yeah, the studio logo, it's like in the Lisa Gerrard, Hans Zimmer music, it's like taking you into an unfamiliar past.
Yeah, the music to this movie is its own whole big deal. Like it's, I don't know, it's like one of the most ripped off fucking scores ever.
Yeah, like at this point, it hadn't been hammered into the ground, or just, yeah, like you said, just exhausted, overused.
But
But
it's
at
so
the
funny,
time,
like,
yeah,
because like every like piece of media that takes place in the ancient past, like you do have this like Hans Zimmer, like just whatever the Gladiator playbook is, you just start hearing that. It's like, ooh, ethereal.
yeah, and Zack Snyder is the most shameless ripper-offer of this with 300 few years
Oh,
later.
totally. No,
Um,
300 doesn't exist without this movie. Definitely not.
yeah, neither does Troy, and any
Oh,
number of like,
Troy.
yeah. Did you like Troy? I forgot if I ever asked.
I haven't seen it since it's high school. Like I was shown up by my history teacher. I haven't seen it since then. Oh shit, you wheat. I
The
forgot. This
Wheat,
starts off like a Terrence Malick movie. Like put my hand in the wheat.
but like one of my favorite ever opening shots. Like it just takes you into his psychic space.
Totally. Well, you
And
got this like subjective, like very, very like the blurry edges of the frame. Like you feel the sensory impact of just brushing your hands against this, then you realize it's his dreamscape.
you know that tweet that was going around, define locking in? It happened recently.
No, I don't.
I just like, yeah, Russell Crowe locks in, or like the character locks in. Like this is like, I just love that it starts on a close up of him, and you get like that dichotomy of Maximus. There's like the man of the earth, the farmer, the gentle soul, and then the guy who's just about to like war crime like 100 people.
I don't know. Is it a war crime if like there's two armies fighting? I don't think so.
Well, I guess just it's Rome's the OG imperialist, right? They're just rolled it
Oh,
in there, and
well,
yeah.
not even that. No, I mean there was empires before Rome. There was the fucking Akkadians and the Greeks and all that shit. There's yeah, there's I mean fucking Egypt was an empire.
Yeah, absolutely. I stand
I don't know, I guess
corrected.
it's like what do you define as an empire? I don't fucking know. I'm not a historian. Thankfully Ridley Scott isn't either. uh oh my God, this okay, can I tell you this movie looks so fucking good. Like
Oh yeah,
25
it's
years later,
all,
this looks dynamite. Oh, just
yeah,
all the
very little
costumes, so
yeah,
lush.
CGI. Yeah, it's all, there's a real kind of like that's the first thing I noticed when I first watched it, was just that Ridley Scott texture and atmosphere to every shot, really. Like, there's
Well, this
always,
is his comeback
yeah.
movie. Really, his career was kind of like fucking up before this. And I remember like in the commentary, like he talks about how this movie was essentially, I mean, it's just what sounds like a fucking mess. They didn't have a script. They had like 20 or 30 pages of a script and they just made everything else up while they were going. Like it sounds like a real trial by fire type of movie, which is interesting because you watch it and you wouldn't necessarily think that, right? It seems pretty measured in a way that like really just able to do. I think it's a testament to his skill and his team's skill at just producing something when you couldn't tell that like they had no idea what they're doing.
Right, and I think like what helps it gel so well is the simplicity of, the narrative. It's like it's a long film, but it's a revenge movie, and like the stakes are very immediate and easy to understand. And it's kind of like, I don't know, when I heard Eggers pitching The Northman, and he said that by getting super simple and primary colored in the narrative, he could get wild and complex with the texture of it, and like, the
Yeah, no,
cinematic layers
that's
could
that's the
get,
classic
yeah.
thing. Yeah, if you just, you know, if if you have a simple thing to rotate everything else around, you're able to spin a lot of plates around it, right? Like you're not necessarily able to. Oh, I love this bit where like he rubs like the fucking the dirt in his hands. He smells it. It's so good.
Yeah, I love it's almost like another one of my favorite films, Ali, and of course that's based on a real guy, an actual real guy. But when he does the
Ali, a
prayer
real
before his
man.
fights, I know, go figure, right? But yeah, just the little ritual, before combat. I think it's a nice touch. The
Oh my
heroes
God,
in the
all these
movies,
fucking
yeah.
guys. This is what's crazy. Like, there's so many dudes on the screen. This is like, I hate to be this type of person, but truly, this is some real filmmaking type shit. Like, it just doesn't really get done too much anymore. Yeah, you brought up the Northman, and Northman, I have quite a soft spot for. I like it more and more every time I see it, but like, the Northman's not on this scale. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
the Northman, it's more of like a personal story. This is just, it's really, he's doing the Kubrick thing, like the thing that really knows how to do better than anyone else is these types of movies. Like he just knows how to fucking frame a landscape with just a bunch of dudes and how to arrange the battlefield into something that's coherent but visceral at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, and
Because like
in the
here you
sense
get
that,
the impression like you understand like, oh, here's the foot soldiers, here's the fucking cavalry, like, you know what I mean? Like you understand the stakes of the battlefield. And it looks beautiful. And look at this, fantastic.
right, and understanding intimately like what we need to see, like all the components of like these enormous sequences, and kind of like, how we can, where he can put us visually so that we can make sense of it all. Um, is, yeah, it's masterful. And the Northman, it spent too much time on the farm. There's like a huge stretch of that film where Amleth is kind of like stalking. He's undercover and he's stalking this guy that he wants to get revenge on. And so much of the movie is just kind of spent on this muddy farm. And Ridley Scott has much better understanding of like
Yeah. See, I
scale.
don't mind that stuff, but like when you compare it to something like what Ridley does, like he just has an understanding of how to construct a movie in a logistical way where there are no fallow periods. Like you don't actually have like you know, like everything is fundamentally interesting on some level. Like you don't he just he knows how to take a screenplay and construct it into something just solid on its own. And Eggers, like, he's more interested in, I think more ambient, ambiguous moods than Ridley
Hmm.
is. For Ridley, it's like all part of, it's a shot, it's a sensation. He's a director of atmosphere in as much as it contributes to the overall feeling of what he's trying to portray, but he doesn't do it for its own sake, really.
So your favorite type of movie would probably be Western, or your favorite genre.
I guess
Is that
so,
fair to
yeah,
say?
sure.
I think whatever this is my favorite kind of movie.
Dude,
Uh,
dude's getting fucked up with arrows.
yeah, but also just the kind of, I don't know, the rugged poetry, and like I just love just the way Maximus is. Like I love just that scene just before this where he's walking down the battle lines and just like, hitting his soldiers' armor with his fist, and just kind of like, rousing his troops, and kind of
Yeah.
being the father to everyone. There's
Yeah,
like
man, I
that
mean,
that that
fucking
side
look
of
at
it.
this. Look at this huge like panning shot. Like this is something from like a 1950s CinemaScope movie. It's like really just knows how to do this stuff. It's so huge. Like everyone else, when they try to make this type of movie, it just looks fucking small and cheap and garbage. This looks, I mean, it looks like twice what the budget was. I just don't like. I don't know. Like I look at this, I'm like, how do you do this? Because it's just something I could never see myself doing. Like, it's like a feat of logistical excellence.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were discussing the other day that interview with Ridley Scott where he said stamina is the number one thing, number one most
Oh
important thing when
yeah,
it
you
comes
can
to
imagine, right?
directing.
To film this, you need to fucking like you have to be able to just do the basic dailies, right? Like you have so many again, it's like you got fire, you got horses, you got guys with swords, you know what I mean? Like you have all this stuff to consider and you have to like somehow make it all into a coherent motion picture.
Okay, now when he whacks the sword against the tree and it stays there, and then he pulls the other one off the haunch of his horse, like I mean, that's a great little visual detail. Like that's the other thing. Battles, need to have coherence, and there needs to be this this bird's eye view of everything that you can understand. But then you need to season it with like these little visual beats that like I don't know, just really like put you there. And
Yeah, right.
yeah,
You need to have like moments of clarity amidst the madness. Otherwise, you'll just get lost and it's a bunch of dudes yelling at each other and swinging swords.
yeah, exactly. And then like I just always remember like that one of the shots of this movie I always remember is like after the battle when he returns to the sword and yanks it out of the tree, and the scene is perfectly dressed, the makeup on him, you know what I mean? Like it's you're 1,000% convinced that you're that these characters on the other side of a battle.
Right.
Ooh, poor guy.
Oh,
And
I
then
love
of
this shit
course
where
I
like
love
like in the middle of the fight it starts snowing for some reason. Like what the fuck? And then it stops and it's like, huh?
this has a very like Saving Private Ryan kind of vibe to it, like
Oh,
this opening
totally.
battle.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
this is,
just
there was a sense of like renewed brutality in these types of movies. I think that's what made this so successful is that it felt, proper grim and gritty. I mean, you just saw like there's like a shot where there was some fucking mud thrown on the lens.
yeah, yeah, and I love when the sound effects drop out and then like the music rises and then the shutter speed changes and you just go
Yeah,
into
look at
this
this.
kind of
Like,
like
yeah, the
abstract.
shutter speed.
Yeah,
This is interesting. He doesn't do a lot of this kind of like super fancy stuff. Like with this, there's something very impressionistic about it. It's just, I- yeah, there's like, I don't know. It is like I think now he does things in a more how do I say it? Like a more majestic, resplendent way. This
hmm
there's like more like a music video, hazy, like uh subjective incoherence to what he's doing. It feels more experimental and loose than compared to compared to this to like Kingdom of Heaven. Kingdom of Heaven is like much more of a constructed, like especially with like battle scenes. Like you don't have like this shutter speed grace note type of thing. Not as much of it anyway.
yeah. I mean, well, I remember when I first saw Kingdom of Heaven. Um, there's that skirmish by the river where all those knights get taken out early in the movie,
Right.
and yeah, and that
It's
was
the most
like
brutal shit.
right, right, and that was like the first cue that like the visual language had been like upgraded a little bit from Gladiator because he was
Yeah,
dipping
because
into the same well a
I
little bit.
think I like this movie a lot. I think it's one of Ridley's best movies. But I will say I think it's like this is him trying out a lot of stuff that he would later go on to perfect in movies like Kingdom of Heaven, Last Duel, etc. It's like it's all here. Like basically all the elements are here and they're all good. But I think it's like it has the feeling of a sketch of like a trial by fire.
Yeah, it can't be overstated just how much he was rat fucked by Kingdom of Heaven being cut down like it was. Like I remember seeing it when it first came out, and I of course I enjoyed it, but like it's just like a shadow of what the director's cut is.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Phoenix arrived on the scene fully formed. This is very much a Joaquin Phoenix
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, he had some roles before those. I haven't seen too many of them. Man, it is crazy how young he is here. I'm fucking used to him now, but yeah, he really is like just total babby mode here.
I always liked with Commodus the dimension of his love for his father and the woundedness that he never got his father's approval. And I think that like he's a pretty good sniveling villain. Like I'm not prepared to say he's not like an amazingly dimensional character, but like there is that like woundedness beneath the evil that like yeah, really helped
Well,
like make this
this
character
whole
resonate.
movie, I mean, this whole movie feels very Shakespearean in a sense. It's got the incest. It's got this like this sniveling character who's like he's an asshole, but he's so pathetic that you feel bad for him in a way. Like there's a lot of just this classical like high drama stuff that I think always works. If you get actors who can pull it off, it always works. I love this too. He goes back for the sword. It's a great detail.
Yeah, yeah. I was just fascinated by that story about how when Joaquin Phoenix was cast, like he was really intimidated by the character and intimidated by the job. And I think I was hearing Russell Crowe talk about how like Joaquin didn't know he was this fantastic actor. Only Ridley knew that when he was cast in the movie. Like
Right.
he showed up in like a basketball T-shirt and he was just like, "What? I'm supposed to play like an emperor?" And I'm surrounded with these grandiose sets and everything. Like I feel intimidated. But I mean, like, how could how could how could anybody have known the potential that was there? And that's what's like fascinating to me about somebody like Ridley Scott is like he can sit down with a person and just kind of clock that. Like I heard Paul Mescal, who plays the lead in Gladiator 2, like they had like a 20-minute Zoom call, I guess, and they didn't even really talk about the movie. They just kind of like checked in with each other and talked about football or whatever. And he's like, okay, yeah, you can, you can be the next Maximus. I get you. That's a lot. That's a lot of intuition.
Yeah, Ridley's by and large, always good with his casting. He knows what he wants. Knows what he's going for.
Richard Harris is great in this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like his portrayal of Marcus Aurelius, like when I read the texts that he wrote, like his personal diary, you know, it does capture something of the world weariness of who the man was. Like just the sense of a guy who's just like has like an exhaustion and a disdain for what he has to do, basically as this person who is fitted for a role.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in recovery, and I talk to a lot of guys who like read the Stoics and or the Stoicism. And what's the name of what's that book? And they make a joke about it in the holdovers that like everybody seems to have by Marcus Aurelius, or collection of his writings,
Yeah, totally. Well, it's
memories,
it's
or
it's very
yeah,
popular. It's meditations
meditations, right? Sorry.
or mediations.
Um,
I forget what the fuck it is, but yeah.
yeah, but what you said about that weariness and that just like from the time you first see him and he's like cloistered up on the hill behind his Praetorians, like you sense his time is just about out. And I think like one of my favorite dialogue scenes in the movie, probably my favorite, is when Maximus visits Marcus Aurelius in his tent and he makes that pitch, for him to take the top job once he passes away. Um, yeah, I love the energy of those two together in the tent. Got to get some rose water.
Yeah, this is very much this thing. I think like the key to Rome's success, this captures it in the figure of Maximus, is that the army was like, structured to where, participating in it, it's like, okay, you become a citizen, you become like a real human being, basically in the eyes of the political body, but also you more or less like, yeah, you become a senator, you have the capacity to do that, and also you get land. You get land, and then you become basically, yeah, like a proto feudal lord, and then you can employ all these slaves and stuff to do harvest. Like, it was very much involved in like, okay, we're gonna conquer shit, and then we'll divide it up amongst our soldiers who don't die. It's a pretty good scheme when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a dampened version of that, right? It's like there's a
Oh yeah, totally.
you get
Nowadays, it's the
you
same
get
thing.
healthcare, you get
Yeah,
college, yeah.
yeah. Nowadays, you get healthcare and you get college. Totally. Yeah.
I felt it on like a gut level when I watched this idea that like Maximus just wants to go home and he's asking everyone, could you please discharge me so I could just get
I'm
out of
tired.
here?
My feet hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And every time he says it to Marcus Aurelius and then to Commodus, and they just give him this little smile, like, "Oh yes, it
Well,
would be
it's
nice."
very much like, you would have to be an idiot not to understand like what the stakes of his character are. Uh, yeah, I love this bit though, like where Commodus does come up to him and he's like, listen, man, these senators are corrupt, they're assholes. I'm gonna fucking need to call on you. Like, can I rely on you? And I think you get this sense that not only does he not want to deal with the battlefield, but he doesn't want to deal with the political system either.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not feeling great about what his new boss would be like, if he were to, if he were to come into the new regime. I love this little exchange. It's like, let us pretend that, I'm a loving father and you're a loyal daughter.
I know it's almost like a Zizek proverb.
His voice, I just love his whispery, like it's just uh, the kind of tremor, in his
Oh,
voice.
totally.
It's
Well,
a great, yeah.
that's the thing with all like these British thespian guys. They just kind of get better as they get older. Like when you just get, yeah, Richard Harris or Ian McKellen, like just like this old wise guy, you're like, yeah, whatever you say, man, let's go for it. Like I'm just in awe of what's being accomplished.
I was thinking about Richard Harris recently for like a weird reason. Like I saw the new Beetlejuice, and like there's a major sequence in the movie, like the climactic sequence where they play MacArthur Park by Richard Harris, that pop song, like a really weird pop song that was like, I guess it was like a hit in the 70s or 80s.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so he was a singer too, like
Wow, I didn't know
jack
that.
of all trades. Yeah.
See, I like
Now
this
I'm not.
stuff in Ridley. I love this, like where he has like the sheep and the fucking things being carried around. Like this is the important stuff actually, is like being able to stage the drama and like the battles. That's all great. What's really important, which is why these movies like work on a level that I think is like not comparable. Like Ridley, he creates worlds. He creates like an environment where stuff is going on and the characters are moving through it. But it's like it's sound. It feels real. It feels like sensible and like okay, now we're entering into a world. We're not just seeing something that's put on for us.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like what you're describing, I think the last duel was like a very concentrated, refined version of that, like the feudal system and the pastures and the taxes and
Right.
like
Yeah. Yeah. You have all
yeah.
this stuff. Yeah. It feels, I mean, it feels educational in a way, which I always like. It makes you like, oh, like what's this? What's that? Like you're always looking in the background too.
This was the first film I saw Russell Crowe in, so I had never seen this guy before, and that enhanced my relationship to the character because like he was just Maximus, I hadn't seen The Insider or LA Confidential or anything like that. Um, I'm just like I just love the way Russell Crowe has evolved over the years, and now he's this heavier guy, who plays like all these like kooky character
Well,
parts.
he's become
Um,
the Pope's exorcist.
yeah, Pope's Exorcist. Have you seen that?
Oh God, no! Isn't there a second one coming out?
I mean, I feel like I have to watch it. Like that trailer, I don't know why I didn't see it when it came out. I must have got busy, but yeah. But on the way towards playing the Pope's Exorcist, he got to play Jarrell and all kinds of he's done everything. There's a character in The Sopranos that Joe Pantoliano plays who's obsessed with Gladiator, and one of his notes was that he's watching Spartacus because like he can only watch Gladiator so many times, and then he needs another
Right.
hit of something. So he's just like they didn't have flat tops in the Roman times. This is historically inaccurate. That was so funny.
Flat tops.
The flat top. Well, I mean, Kirk Douglas and Spartacus had like a crew cut or something, or like there was a
Oh,
haircut that
does
was
he?
more of a
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, and so like Maximus has a kind of I don't know what you would call it, like a more of a short haircut, but with like some bangs. Like I guess he's supposed to play a guy from Spain.
See, this
I don't
is
know.
an interesting thing like he's getting into. It's like, how will history remember me? This type of thing. And it is funny because like now Marcus Aurelius is remembered as a philosopher, right? But like that's you know what I mean? Like he did a lot of shit. And basically history, it's like, oh, you get remembered for one, maybe two things at the most, right? Especially if it's
Hmm.
like ancient history. It's like who was Alexander the Great? What kind of guy was he? You don't really fucking know. Like you know what he did, and then like some basic factoids, and that's about it. Like it's not like the details and the nuances do get sanded away over the course of eons.
Yeah. Do you remember how long Marcus Aurelius ruled?
Oh God. I mean, well, he says right here that like this has been going on for like 20 years. I imagine that's a fair bit, right? I mean, I could look it up, I guess. Let me see.
So this little monologue that Maximus gives about how much he misses his house and the pink stones that warm in the sun, and I
My
mean,
feet hurt.
yeah, but I mean, just like he takes us there, like it's just such a gorgeous delivery of that.
Right, right. It's very evocative.
Oh, and then Maximus's wife in this became Ridley Scott's wife after they made the movie, which I
Oh
think is kind of a
yeah, good for
romantic note.
Ridley. Can you
Yeah, yeah.
imagine?
Way to go, buddy. I always love how the camera pushes in on Russell Crowe here as he just like the implications fall on him. Hmm. I mean, I think that we've been taught, or I mean, I've come to understand that kind of not the best idea to hand the control of state over to like the general, but
Yeah,
this was a
well,
lot. This was a long time
well,
ago.
well, but there's a big tradition in Rome of doing this, There's
Yeah, yeah.
many times it has happened. I mean, I'll tell you this much, can I just talk personally? Look,
Yeah.
if I'm a fucking Roman, like, I mean, firstly, like, all the senators are warriors, right? Or like most of them, right? They're like, a lot of them are just people who have fought, right? So you just have a society that like understands fundamentally the value of human life. It has like a different definition of, who counts as human, right? It's like, if you're not Roman, then you're shit. Then you're fucking worthless. But, right, there's a relationship with mortality there. I think nowadays it's like, most of the people who fucking are, in charge in countries, they're lawyers or businessmen who have no fucking idea about like anything that's meaningful. And so, you know, like regardless of like the qualities of the individual person or, you know, it's like someone like, I don't know, you think about like Dwight Eisenhower or Teddy Roosevelt. It's like these are guys who like, you know what it's like to fight and to maybe be killed, right? So like, and they've seen people die. I would imagine, and or at least Teddy Roosevelt, I know he did. So it's like, I think at least at that level, there's a closer relationship to to humanity there, and I think personally, it's like I you could trust
I
that
love that
person
for
to at
yeah.
least have a an understanding of life more than like you know I think what are some of the other like, corrupt politicians that are depicted in this movie where it's like oh, we're senators and we're just doing whatever, like playing games and shit.
Well, I love that perspective, and I hadn't really thought about it, but I think you're right that like on a certain level they're more in touch with the stakes, with they're not as alienated from the reality of like the decisions, the outcomes of the decisions they're making, being on
Right. Well,
on a
and at the
military
very
level.
least, like they have an understanding of like it could be, a warped idea, but it's like they know like what goes into like It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna send people off to die. Well, I know what that is. I know what that actually means. Like, you have a whole professional class of people who have no relation to any of that. And so to them, it's like, what does it mean? It means nothing. Like if I put you in that situation, Pat, like, would you understand? No, of course you wouldn't. And so,
No.
yeah, I'm not saying that like, all fucking leaders should be warriors or whatever, but I think there is a substantial difference between like the experiential qualities that go into like, what makes you a good leader or not. Because now it's been professionalized and to be a politician, you basically have to be like you have to play the social game and the social ladder. Not that you didn't, in ancient times, but it wasn't like you didn't go to fucking school for it, right? You didn't fucking pay
Right.
tuition to become a professional in politics, which is you almost think of like a pretty absurd idea when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're really in a liminal period. It feels like in America. Now, I think Russell Crowe came up with kind of like the little prayer that he says and the figures there. Like, I think this is an example of something that was as the script was being rewritten on the fly and these things were coming together. Um, like he was responsible. Russell Crowe is responsible for kind of like building out, like, okay, who is this guy and what's his practice and what it.
Right, totally. Well, I think this gets to something that is really missed often quite a bit in movies about, especially like Roman stuff, is that you get the impression that it's just a bunch of dudes hanging out, but like there was a sense of spirituality and communion to their society. Like it did exist. And it wasn't just like, we're fucking going around conquering and shit. Like there was introspection.
Ooh, I love this moment when I've always loved this when Commodus
I got
he
the
walks
drapes.
into his yeah, and he walks into his father's
This is
chambers and
classic
there's this
Ridley.
yeah, and but he doesn't run into his actual dad until a bit later. Like at first he just sees the bust and he sees this kind of like idealized image of that he's always tried to live up to.
Right. Well, earlier before uh, Maximus was framed against all these, yeah, these statuettes and busts, and as if he's already one of them.
God, I mean, just like very moving scene. You will not be emperor, and it's like I don't know, Joaquin Phoenix. I think maybe some of us are sick of him at this point. But
Well,
like,
he doesn't seem like a great person to hang around with. But
no,
I like,
no,
as an actor, I think he's been in several great movies.
he's just so raw. Like I think that like the same thing that people responded to so much with, I guess, at least the first Joker and many of his performances is like it doesn't like there's something so like unmannered about when you get down to the bone with like these
Well, he
emotions.
reminds me of early De Niro, where it's like very intense, like tortured, agonized type of like it's like the emotions are just like erupting out of him in a way.
Yeah,
Like in this scene, especially, like to feel the violence of what he's going through, you could just tell like it's like this is a guy who has existed on the edge for a while, and like now he's been pushed over it.
one of my favorite exchanges is near the end when before he stabs Maximus under the armor. He's like, "You loved my father, I know, but so did I." And so like he just because he stabs his father to death doesn't mean he didn't love him. It's complicated. This is a great bit of writing about the virtues. And he recognizes that I'm actually like I don't have any of the sauce, but maybe there's something else that I can. He's the bread and circuses guy, right? Like that's what Commodus does really in the
Right.
movie is he gets the games going.
Yeah, I always get the impression here that like what he doesn't like in Commodus and the reason why he doesn't, leave him in a position of power and influence is that it's like Commodus is basically like who he was as a younger man. Like
Right. It's his
and
weakest
it's
self that he's seeing.
and
Yeah.
it's only like with age and reflection that he's grown to be a different person. And he's like, am I really gonna like let this happen again with someone who's gonna have to maybe not be in a position to learn these lessons in the way that I did, right? Like there's a and you can understand that, right? Like if you were a parent, it's like your fucking kid is basically fucked up in all the ways that you are. There is something and like if you had to hand all this stuff down to him, like responsibilities, you might not want to, you're like, maybe not then actually, maybe we're not doing this.
Yeah. I mean, it's Commodus is his fault at the end of the day, and he recognizes that, but that doesn't mean he's not gonna hand the keys over out of guilt. This reminds me of like the Mel Brooks gag where like you cut to the painting on the wall and it's making an expression that's like
Yeah, it's a little bit of a Sternberg moment or something.
yeah, there's like a big frown on the statue's face all of a sudden.
Okay, can I
See, we need
tell
to
you?
yeah.
Okay, can I fucking tell you? I don't. Okay, I'm not actually mad, but this I never understand this in movies when it's like, oh, I always sleep with a knife in my hand or a gun under my pillow, and it's like someone touches me and I draw it and it's like, oh, I'm threatening them. Do people actually? Is someone able to do this? Like Pat,
Well,
if you
we
were
talked
like
about
if you were ultra paranoid, like could you react that quickly? Okay, soldiers, can you do this? I don't know if any soldiers listen to this, but like if you can actually do that kind of shit, I mean, I don't know. Like I'm wondering, like you got to be like some kind of extreme ninja to be sleeping so light. I mean, you basically, yeah, you do have to be a light sleeper to anticipate when someone's like, "Oh, don't grab me," and I'm gonna kill you.
my buddy was in the army, and at least before he got married, I would be surprised if he carried this practice with him into marriage. But he did sleep with a gun under his pillow. I was going to remind you that we were talking about Last Man Standing sometime in the last few months, and that was one of the funniest beats in that movie is when Bruce Willis is having sex, and then somebody bursts into his room to kill him, and he's already got the two guns in his hand that he
Right? Like, what
blows
the
that guy
fuck?
away. Yeah, so like presumably while he was
I
having
mean,
sex, he had a
it's a
pistol in
cool
each
thing,
hand.
right? But like, it's one of those movie things that like I don't feel makes any fucking sense.
Well, hey,
I don't know. I
I'm
guess I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, so maybe I'm just like I couldn't do that.
I just always assume, and this is my weakness, I guess. But if it came down to it, like I'm not gonna win through violence, so I tend to not keep weapons around. But
Well, no,
no
I know
shit, no,
you and I don't, but I'm just wondering, like, is it theoretically like is this
possible.
possible for people to do? Well,
Mm,
especially with the speed that he did it, where I'm like, man, that is quick.
yeah, that's just how good Maximus is.
That's right. Well, that's right though. It's the classic, like, oh, but he's so good.
I was just laughing the other day that like it is. I mean, it is funny that they name him Maximus. It's like a very it's like almost like if Michael Bay was making it, like absolutely
Totally.
he would call him Maximus.
Michael Bay's Gladiator.
That would be so sick. And see, yeah, I just love like how uh how far his journey is, the character's journey is. This is like the ending now of like the opening salvo, the Germania section.
Right. Yeah, it is interesting. Like, this movie does go to a lot of different places. I always like in my head, it's always I don't know, like I always think of it as like going by like really fast, but it does go to a lot of places. What a fucker, dude, being like, "Oh, we're going to kill your family."
Oh
What a
yeah. I mean that was just
bastard.
so harsh. When I watch this, I'm like, Jesus, they're killing his family
What a
too.
bastard. Oh, do I love the stock sound effect of the wind? That shit makes me
Oh yeah.
laugh. So what is it? How do you even do it? It's like wah wah. I don't know, but it's just like it's a sound effect that's in fucking every movie.
Now, I always thought this was like one of the most badass escapes in
Oh,
any
no shit,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like give me a soldier's death. I also just love that he like throws the glaive like a throwing star at like a guy on horseback and just
Right.
spears
Well,
him.
honestly, you could because it's like the blade's not that long. You could fucking do it. So like a soldier's death is to be stabbed in the neck. Is that what we're saying here?
I guess so. Yeah, you don't behead him. You just kind of like stab him through the throat. The frost. Sometimes it makes the blade stick. One of my my dreams is to make a movie like this. There are many kinds where the hero has like different configurations of black eye cuts, you know, like different facial damage, you know, through the whole
Oh my
movie pretty
God.
much.
Well, you're basically it's a nightmare for the continuity editors.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just making their life a living hell.
Oh yeah, this film also was like one of my first senses of like the color grading and like how
Yeah, well, this was the early era of that stuff, right? You did have, I mean, this isn't too extreme, but yeah, definitely this is like a precursor to that more extreme variant of that would like be just all over movies in the 2000s. Like every single movie from the 2000s has just extreme color grading. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it's so fucking garish as to be just ugly and unwatchable.
yeah, now it's kind of out of vogue, you know, but for a while it was like we're going to
Well,
signal
now
that
they
we're in a
just
different place
desaturate
now.
everything.
Yeah.
It looks like shit.
Yeah. Now, I think this is Morocco, or I think they shot a lot of the movie Morocco, and I believe Black Hawk Down was shot there as well. So many of my favorite films were shot in Morocco. Yeah, I might go there this next year if I can save up for it. I always like the like gross, gory detail of you know, he's got that cut on his arm that kind of festers, you know, over the course of like the first part of the
Oh
movie,
yeah, it's gross.
right? And then oh, and then yeah, that really badass twist where he cuts his tattoo off, like his Roman tattoo off, like primitive tattoo removal, because that's just how much he hates like the government that put him where he is. Looks like Maximus has some slaves, but you know that's okay. It's a different time.
It was a different time.
That's what my favorite Mark Maron bits is like. It was a different time. You know, you could just like hand wave almost anything away. I just
Right,
came.
right. Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, just like, okay, sure. Now, doesn't Ridley own this fucking vineyard? Isn't this like something he actually owns now?
Oh my God, is this a good year? Is this the vineyard from a good year?
I
It'd be
don't
funny if it
know. What
was.
I know he like owns vineyards. I don't know if the one in this movie is one. I don't even know if it's a real one, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that sometimes about how somebody who just is such a worker like him, who's just always doing something. Like, what is the
Yeah, I
lull?
don't
What's the
like. Yeah, I'm
lull?
like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing I think about. It's like, yeah, when does Ridley Scott relax? I don't know. I feel like he has like a month vacation and then,
That's probably what it is, right?
Oh
Is
my
that
God,
like
there's
there's a
like yeah,
sense, yeah.
there's like zooms in this movie. That's crazy. You know what? Oh my God. Like this movie, it's weird that it's kind of at a stylistic crossroads between so many trends. Like Ridley, there's some stuff in this movie that it's like he doesn't do that anymore, but it's here, but along with a bunch of other stuff that he would later do a ton of. And it's like the bridge, you know? It like it reminds me of like G.I. Jane. I mean that like there's some stuff in the movie that's edited so fucking badly and the camera movement is so terrible. And you're like
Oh, I
he would
still need to
never do
watch it.
that shit again. Oh my God. It's like the ending of that movie is unwatchable. It's so fucking terrible. It just like it's like, how can I describe it? It's like taking the camera and just jacking the zoom in and out, in and out, in and out, and like trying to use that to communicate freneticism and intensity. And it's just annoying. Like it just, but it's like annoying in the most. It's like you could tell he was like, "Let's try this." It looks just bad, and I'm like, Ridley, my guy, please. Like, why would you? I just wondering, like, on the day, you got to wonder, like, he must have known, right? But I don't know.
So the sequence you're describing in G.I. Jane, that's like the climactic, like the big
Yeah,
military
yeah, it's
incursion,
the
right?
it's the big battle thing. Honestly, no, don't even watch the movie because the movie is not like incredible or whatever. Watch the ending bit on YouTube. You will understand. Like it is
Man, they fucked that one up, huh?
just well, I it's just such a it feels very 1997. Like they're just trying stuff and yeah. But like this movie, like there's traces of that here. It's like stuff that yeah, it's like later kind of falls away from his style. They doesn't do so much. But yeah, like I always find that interesting in filmmakers' careers is like which movies are sort of the fulcrums of their style, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
you can see what's to come, but it's also wrapped in with some other stuff that like okay, like this bit here, this whole bit with like his head like floating over the rocks and stuff, and you don't even see like what's being carried. Like this feels very much of early Ridley Scott, like the type of intense montage that he would do, like Blade Runner, fucking yeah, just like this is totally like music video impressionistic TV commercial shit.
Yeah, my
He doesn't
mom's the
really
most
do any of that now. Like you look at Napoleon, Napoleon has none of this.
now. This is a big missed opportunity if they didn't get if Ridley didn't try to get Jaimin Hansu back for the
Oh
sequel
my
because I know
God, he
Connie.
must be, right? Come
I
on,
hope so.
he's in everything. He must. I'm gonna look this up. Hold on.
He's so cool though. Like I
He
mean,
must
like
be in the new one. I would be shocked if he wasn't.
because they even I mean he's the final character that you see at the end of Gladiator. Like he's burying the little
Yeah, like that's what I thought. It's
figures.
like,
Yeah,
oh, like he's like, like that was the thing. It's like if they were to make a sequel, it's like he would be a part of it, I would assume.
I gotta say I'm lobbying right now, but you gotta finish your Ridley Scott book one of these days. I mean, you're
Oh
a young
God.
person. You have time,
Okay.
but I need to read your writings about all the Ridley Scotts because I don't want to
Yeah,
read any other Ridley
don't
Scott book.
don't fucking force me into it. Look, I'll tell you what. Like, honestly, I got halfway through it, and like I didn't like the way I was approaching it. But yeah, I would want to do it. I want to do it someday. Mostly because I just don't think anyone else gives a shit enough to do it in a way that I would want to.
Well, count me as your patient zero of giving a shit. Oh, he's so great in this.
No, he's not in it. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, must have been.
Fucked
I don't
up,
know. I
man.
hope.
Terrible.
Yeah, better be a good reason.
I mean, he was making Rebel Moon, so I guess he was busy.
Yeah, it could have been just scheduling thing.
Queer giraffes.
So Denzel Washington, I imagine, is playing a character somewhat like Proximo in the sequel,
Yeah,
which
probably.
is
That's what I think.
yeah, which
Dude,
is a great
Oliver
use
Reed,
of him.
fucking just one of these classic, like old school, like just a supreme drunk. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
just to hear
real.
things
Yeah.
about him, like he just seems like an absolute nightmare to be around.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I mean, as an alcoholic, like, I had to, I had to give it up because I was giving everything else up because I was still doing it. And like, whenever I see a guy like Oliver Reed, I'm like, wow, this is a guy to the bitter end. Just never, never put down the bottle. You know what I mean? It's like, no, this is what I'm doing, and come hell or high water, I'm holding on to this. And yeah, he died while he was making this movie after a hard night of drinking, from what I understand.
It adds to the flavor.
And oh, that actor there who's selling him the giraffes was in The Mummy too around this time. Like he was in a
Oh,
lot of these
okay.
types of movies. He's like the guy who has a Brendan Fraser imprisoned in the beginning.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, look at all
For
this.
all I
This is
know, The Mummy
great.
was shot around here too. Like this could be like some overlap in
Oh, what
locations and
in
things.
or North Africa? Yeah, probably, maybe. I don't actually know when that movie was shot.
Hmm. Oh, I always remember too the trailer for Gladiator, when it first came out, was scored to the Conan the Barbarian theme.
What? It
Yeah, yeah.
was?
Yeah, and I
No
remember there's like
way.
yeah, and so that scene, this
Oh
scene
my
right here where they've got all
God.
the gladiators lined up, and like yeah, it was cut to the Conan theme.
That's fantastic. Oh,
Mhm.
yes. Hell yes. I love that.
It was just such a good pitch for this movie, and it was like
Well, the
people
well
hadn't
the
really seen something like this.
Apollodorus music is just, it's iconic.
Right, the general who became a slave, the slave who became a gladiator,
Well, that's the
and then
trailer line,
yeah,
right? Like that's
right,
like the
right,
classic like you elevator pitch.
yeah, exactly. But it worked. I mean, people were stoked when this came out. Oh, and then that big guy, Ralph Moeller, is that how you pronounce his name? But like he was in like a bunch of action movies, like some with like Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff, in like the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, I do recognize him.
God, I love that this character who's like at first he's in competition with Maximus, and Maximus has that like that classic heroes energy where like he turns his enemies into friends, like
Oh
he's
yeah,
always
I love that shit.
his yeah, his
It's always
charisma is like
good,
yeah.
like that's what you want to see. You know what I like about Maximus in this movie, and just I guess Russell Crowe as a performer. Like nowadays, like this, like Maximus is like a dude who has like an achievable level of like physique. Like he is
Yeah.
not one of these like guys who's just like fucking dehydrated, cut, incredible, like going to the gym fucking 6 days a week. Like
Yeah.
he's not this crazy Arnold Schwarzenegger levels of buff. He's like he looks like a guy who's like strong and he could fucking knock you out. But he's just not this like ridiculous caricature of masculinity that we got in the 80s and now we get a ton of now too. Like he's not The Rock, right? He's just a strong guy. And like I think that goes a long way to make this movie like not this fucking like I don't know, like this macho like kill fest or whatever. Like it's not about that. It's not about like I don't know the idea of the the physique of, these
Yeah.
characters. Like it's like that's sort of like incidental to what the story is being told there. And yeah, it's like it came in this weird point where like yeah, in the 90s and the 2000s when I think a lot of like actiony type movies you had protagonists who actually like weren't these ubermensch people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But
I
it's so
think
funny now because it's like you got Chris Pratt as your fucking ubermensch, guy telling jokes, but he's like impossibly ripped.
right, and but doesn't bring much else to the party. I think that like the
No, not
bodies
at
are
all.
there, but like, yeah, but there's not that the spark is missing.
Totally.
One thing I liked around like the revolution in action cinema that came with the Matrix, where like all of a sudden now like there was a mandate that like the actors had to convincingly look like they were doing martial arts as opposed to before. Like I'm
Right.
hoping that this era of yeah like the eugenics body will kind of like phase out and we could get
I
back to
hope so.
something
I've always found it to
more
be disgusting. Like I'm like, ugh.
yeah. I almost like I feel like I talk about the Northman too much. It's kind of weird, but I think like Skarsgård having that body makes more sense because like I just can't help but think of Conan while I watch that movie, and
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Conan,
well, it's a part of
yeah,
a stylistic tradition with that. Yeah, like I'm gonna think that's fine. Like that's fine to me. I don't like it when it's like
When it's
fucking
fucking Chris
yeah,
Pratt. Like
yeah.
Chris
When
Pratt
it's
does
like
not need that body.
yeah, it's like these guys. You're like,
And
give me a break with it. You know, it's just I just it's such a put on to me.
well, yeah, I mean,
Like Russell Crowe doesn't have to look like a fucking god. He doesn't have to like be the tallest dude to convince you that he's like the hero. You know, you could just you buy into it because it's performance, because he's just a strong actor, and he's able to command his body in like a powerful way. He doesn't actually need to like do these like gimmicky things and like yeah these fucking crazy ass diets which basically like destroy your body.
right. Not to mention 5 hours a day required to like actually build that physique. Like, the
Right.
general of Rome's armies is probably got some other things to do.
Right. It's like not even practical. That's the crazy thing to me is that you have this idea of, it's like, oh, this is what tough guys look like, but no actual tough guy. Like Schwarzenegger, like he actually had to like go down from his bodybuilding heights to be in
Hmm.
movies. Like he wasn't like in the first Conan, he's big, but he's not fucking as ripped as he was as a bodybuilder. Like he actually couldn't do
You
that
couldn't move a
because
sword. Yeah,
it's
you can't.
cause it's
Yeah.
well, it's not sustainable either. Like you can't actually be like that 100 times. Like it's like you are that for a short competition and then it's done, right? Like the body cannot live like that forever. At least that's like what my father has told me because he's like into bodybuilding and stuff, and he says that it's just ridiculous that people try to live like that all the time.
Yeah. 100%. Now, in the second Gladiator, it looks like Ridley focused a lot on like upping the ante on these gladiator matches, like which is like I don't know. I mean, I don't know what necessarily I was expecting or wanting from like a follow up to this. Didn't
Yeah,
even
I don't
know if
know
we'd ever
either.
get it. But like, but yeah, I always read like when this movie came out, I got really into reading like about the gladiators and stuff, and just hearing about the crazy shit they did, like filling a arena with water and like
Well,
crocodiles.
that's
And
the weird thing is that it's like
so
there's stuff in there where it's like you wouldn't believe it. Like you think about the ancient world and you're like, how did you do this? But they did.
yeah,
See, but this is very like this reminds me of Conan too, where it's like the gladiator fight with all the guys with like the weird helmets and the armor.
yeah. I watched Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome recently, and
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like that movie, like you can't top that. Like the actual battle in Thunderdome, like it just,
Well, you got the bungee cord. It's very fun. See, this is
yes,
great though. You got the
amazing.
spikes on the wall.
Yeah, right. I always loved it too that like they immediately established through action these two guys are like each other's wingmen.
Right, totally. What's the classic like 48 hours thing of them being chained together?
Yeah, ah, so cool. Oh, and then the transition from this into like the triumph of the will of like Commodus coming back to Rome, I think is really awesome. And I especially love like when we return to Maximus and he's just like become this hardened, he's like already like the Tom Brady of the gladiators, by the time we get back to him.
He's a fast learner.
Yeah. Here we get a lot of CGI, the rose petals. I always like the rose petals, just that little atmospheric grit.
Yeah, can you imagine being like in this time period and like all you've been in is a village for your entire life and you fucking walk in Rome? Like I would just lose my mind. I just
Yeah.
how did this happen?
Right. I mean, and that's the idea of it, right? Is it's meant to inspire awe and fear, and like how did they build something like this? Good old Derek Jacobi.
You see, these Rome scenes with the blue. This is like the more heavier color grading.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you'll have these clear like daytime shots, but then everything looks very like this looks like Snyder. This looks like 300.
Got all the stuff in 300 that's just Like Dominic West is like the senator, and then Lena Headey is like
Oh yeah,
Leonidas's wife. I mean, nobody likes that part of the movie.
I like it.
You like that part of 300?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
stand correct.
Oh, Pat, 300 commentary win. I think that's something that no one is asking for.
I'm trying to
Not
think
only
of
that, we're doing of an Empire commentary.
yeah. Okay, Rise of an Empire commentary would be incredible just because that movie's incredible. So yeah, I would
Yeah,
love
we're
to
just
talk about
watching
that at
the
length.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, us just like doing like, oh, let's talk about the Ava Green sex scene. Yeah, it's a great
Right.
idea.
uh, I like
Yeah,
that
this is
line
the weird
character
thing
Kobe.
about Rome
Yeah.
is that you like it became an empire, but you still had the Senate, you know? Like they never lost that bit. So you always had this
Well,
conflict
right.
between like absolutism and the idea of, basically an aristocracy.
Well, right, but the Senate gave them the pretense or the what's the word the waft of democracy could you can kind of like the veneer of democracy, that's what I meant to say, is like by having
Well,
this
it's
like
it's democracy
autocrat,
for
but
me
yeah.
and all my rich landowning fucks.
Yeah. I can't help but think of George Clooney and Hail Caesar, just that
Oh my
scene where
God.
he's uh, look for what's his name? Wayne Knight just playing like the lute off in the corner. Now, like at this point, part of the movie, I think Connie Nielsen's character gets interesting because
Yeah.
she's reunited with her son, and I think that like that's the dynamic of her character that like I could really attach to, is that like she's just trying to like hopefully her son doesn't become too corrupted or like you know um predatorily seized upon by like all these crazy guys in her orbit, and so she's got to like placate her brother, but like all she's really trying to do is just like make sure that her son makes
Right.
it out
Well,
okay.
yeah, just kind of, but you're bobbing and weaving so that, you can kind of keep your head down.
Are you like a costumes like are you very passionate about like like costuming in movies and stuff? Because
I mean,
I love that
I,
stuff.
I always like appreciate to whatever extent I can. I'm not like a fashion person really, so I couldn't tell you like about fabrics and jewelry and things. But yeah, I mean, it looks all great. I mean, both of these performers here, they look fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like a very obvious like layer of movies that like just the fact that you're telling a story in every department, like you're telling the movie story, but like on another level. And like I always love like whenever I watch an interview with like the costume designer, and you could just see how
Right.
much like how there is a narrative occurring, but just on that level of the movie, and it's imperceptible to many of us, but it's very like very vivid.
Yeah. See this bit where like he's got the Colosseum. See, I like you look at this, it reminds me of Blade Runner, and like the fucking
Hmm.
the pyramids there. And then like you cut from that to this overhead shot of all the people gathering into it. Like I don't know, like Ridley always in very much of many of his films, he employs this idea of like the overseer, the master, the fucking architect, the person who like, and it, you know, if they're a father figure or just someone who like wants to aspire towards, parental authority, like he's always interested in this notion. And like Commodus in this movie, he's not that different from someone like Tyrell in Blade Runner, right? Like this person trying to play God with people's lives. And like, oh, you think about that, right? Think about like the way Roy Batty interacts with Tyrell, right? He fucking like puts out his eyes. Think about
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's the
that,
same
and
thing.
like
Yeah.
the scene that he does where he just like strangles his father like just by pushing him, suffocating him in his chest. It's a very similar scene, like very intimate, lit by like this private fire, right? Like the candles in Blade Runner. It's a similar motif. I never thought of it before, but yeah, like Ridley's always interested in people who either think they're visionaries or like at least have some sort of idea of to put on a show, right? To create something. And it's almost often like chart whether that's, is that possible? Is that good? Is that bad? Like, what does that entail? There's something of Commodus, I think, in Ridley, right? This idea of like, it's like, oh, well, this is, the traditions and stuff and blah, 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 but I want to do this, right? Like, you can, the movie kind of is like, okay, maybe you'll disagree with me, but like the emotional core of the movie is like as much with Commodus as it is with Maximus. Like, it's an interesting split because like normally I don't think other directors would really bother to do that sort of thing. They would just make him into be a bad guy. But there is like an interest in Commodus's pathology, Like there's a lot of time spent with just him and like his petulance and his aspirations and his opinions. And he's not just like a complete arbitrary evil bastard, right? Like there is some humanity to him. And I find that like I don't know. I think that's telling of Ridley's interest as a director.
Yeah, like there's the sense early on that Commodus, and he just says it straight up, that I will not be able to follow in my father's footsteps, and he lacks the wisdom, he lacks the patience, he lacks the kind of calm dignity. But like he can he can bring them entertainment, and so like his kind of P.T. Barnum style leadership vision is like the main thing that he's pursuing before Maximus becomes a fly in his ointment. But like, I love that. Yeah, because everybody always talks, including myself, always talks about Maximus's journey. But for the other half of the movie, it's Joaquin Phoenix trying to reshape the country in his image, and like
Right. Well,
he's
I don't
doing
want to
he's doing
read
what
too
he does
much.
best.
I don't want to read too much into this, but there is an element where it's like the two halves of Ridley. There's the guy who's like good at what he does, but like wants to have some sort of private existence away from it all. And then there's the guy who like wants to insert himself more into the stream of things and do things his own way and like, assert his control, right? If these two, it's like a private impulse and a public impulse.
Well, yeah, and you
And
you you mentioned Tyrell. I think another touchstone Ridley character is David from the Prometheus movies. Like
totally,
that's a
right?
character
Yeah.
that's in this line who
Very
yeah,
similar.
he's
Yeah,
trying.
because in a sense, it's like, what would otherwise be like not a great guy, but he's the most interesting part of those movies,
Right, and he's in David's case and in Tyrell's case, I suppose, and they're all like they're trying to create this vision of beauty,
right? This
and
idea of like
yeah.
killing your father, all this stuff. I mean, I don't know how Ridley feels about his dad. It seems like probably had a good relationship with him, but yeah, there's just like this motif in like so many Ridley movies about fucking like having to kill your dad to actualize yourself or to create something that will destroy you, this type of thing.
I feel like I'm very grateful. I will often catch myself saying like, God, I'm glad. Like I wish that I could watch this film for the first time today, like with some of my favorite films that I've seen 100 times. I'm like, what wouldn't it be great if I could just have my first experience with it instead of my 100th experience with it? And I think that I'm about to enter that era with Tony Scott's movies because I have not seen very many of them. There's still a lot that I haven't watched, but I like the Ridley Tony dichotomy that you've spoken a lot about, and a lot of my other favorite movie people are always talking about the Tony movies, and I still, yeah, I get to enjoy those for the first time. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's always great to like when you discover a new filmmaker and you get to engage with this stuff on its own terms in a very immediate way.
Right, and but Ridley and Tony are kind of like left brain, right brain, or it's like they're kind of like they're swimming in the same pond, but they have a very different sensibility.
Yeah, yeah. It is always interesting because I think like Tony is the more romantic and like beloved, like more avant-garde one, but his scope is very like he operated in a more limited set of interests and arrangements, and he kind of it's like when you watch a Tony movie, you kind of know what he's always going to be doing, right? Like there's a set of things that he just does, and you're like, okay, and here we go, and you're like, you kind of get what you want, right? He's very satisfying to watch in that way. Whereas Ridley, sometimes Ridley, like Tony didn't make too many bad movies, I don't think. Like most of like Tony's, like what? I, yeah, he's
Good
made
batting
like I don't
average,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, the batting average is pretty fucking good. Ridley sometimes Ridley will make a real bad movie. Like House of Gucci's not good, but I think Ridley's highs are much higher than Tony. Like at least speaking personally, I know people might disagree with that, but it's like you compare like the best Tony movie to the best Ridley movie. Eh, I would say that's where I become a Ridley partisan in the debate. Now they have to be competing against each other. They're both great. They're both awesome, but like I always find that interesting that yeah, they just push in different directions. Like Ridley's more interested in history. He's more interested in politics, more interested in, I think, psychology. Tony doesn't really give a shit about that.
Right, and that's more where my sensibilities lie too. So I'm more of a Ridley guy. But I wanted to point out, like, they flew all this way to Morocco. They brought the circus with them so that you could have a moment like this. And I just the beauty of like
Yes,
these two actors sitting on the rooftop, and you've got the mountains and like the clouds arching over them, and some
when he's
real
he's haloed by the
good.
sunlight.
Yeah, God, just like this is why we go to the movies. Men would rather become a gladiator than go to therapy.
Yeah, well, I don't think therapy existed back then.
Yeah, they don't really didn't really have a choice either. But
Oh
okay,
my
cool. So
God,
now this
these
is
these fucking landscapes with the wide angle lens. What the fuck, Ridley? It's so good.
and yeah, now they're entering Rome, and like I love I guess this is like an exaggerated version of the road movie. Like I love road movies, because the narrative then just becomes stop one, stop two, stop three, and then there's like
Yeah, going
this
from point A to point
shifting
B.
landscape. Yeah, even Collateral's a road movie. Part of why I
Yeah,
like
I,
it so
I
much.
gotta
Yeah,
say, like most of like the digital matte stuff in this is aged very well. It really looks great. Like I don't know,
yeah.
some a lot of the stuff in this era, it could just be like, you know, even if it's fun, it could just be gunky. This, I don't know, Ridley's he's always had a good hand with visual effects. He rarely does stuff that's totally garish and it doesn't age well. He's got a good eye for it.
One of my actor friends said recently to me that actors are beloved when they're working, and then they're very much not when they're not working. And I think of Proximo as being like he's like an actor that's been off the stage for a while, or
Totally. No,
like his voice.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's been on the outskirts and now he's in the center again.
yeah. So I just love it. This is like represents an opportunity for him to actually let's get some box office.
See, this is the thing, like fucking Jaman Hansu. He's like, yeah, I didn't know men could build such thing. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like that's my reaction. If I were to walk in a room, I'm like, the fuck?
Oh, I love this shot where like yeah, where Joaquin Phoenix's face is like a skull, just like hovering out of focus,
Yeah.
and it comes in, and that was always another thing that like intrigued me about acting is kind of like the willingness to be ugly or to kind of like commit to like you know
The
just the
grotesqueness.
will yeah just like and the aspect of creating a character where like you want to paint a color of like revulsion in on the canvas and kind of like you want to be responsible for like for authoring this aspect of a story where that's you know really like upsets people but that there's a kind of like you know I don't know it's a beautiful thing in a way because to tell these stories you need to have like a spectrum of humanity represented. It's the original Alka-Seltzer. Okay, so that's my second thing is like so facial distress and like you know bruises and stuff, Die Hard style. Would love to do in a movie. Also, a movie that requires the lighting of many torches and candles for just you
Yeah,
know
yeah, but really has got some
dialogue
like
scenes.
real dramatic pans and fucking dolly shots in this movie. Yeah, stuff he doesn't do a whole ton of. It is interesting. I always like with Ridley, he tends to cut on things more often than not, especially nowadays. I feel like he'll like do some like semi fancy stuff, but like really he'll just he prefers to cut on stuff. So like when he does do these like woo dolly shots like that are kind of impressive, I always like am curious to see like what does he deploy them on, just as like a I don't know, as like an act of filmmaking because like with certain directors it's almost I become interested in like what they don't do as often as much as what they do, and they kind
Hmm.
of like how they choose to deploy this or that technique given it's like what do I want to achieve with this scene.
I always like that detail. Now they're getting mobbed. These are like the celebrities, you know.
Well, basically, yeah, right. If you're a gladiator or a charioteer, you are, it is the equivalent of sports.
Hmm. Now, in a way, this is kind of like the first big gladiator sequence coming up. I mean, you know, in the sense of
Right.
like arena combat, you know, like this is where they roll out all the bells and whistles. And there's that wonderful shot when they first enter the arena where there's like a 360-degree pan of like the Colosseum from the ground that at the time felt pretty groundbreaking because like I guess they didn't build they didn't recreate the entire Colosseum practically. They did like parts of it and then they just extended it with CGI.
Oliver Reed has a very square head. He's a very square-headed man.
Yeah, I mean it's
Have you
just
seen
a
him in Ken Russell's Women in Love?
no, and I've not seen The Devils either. Like there's some movies that people have
You
told me
gotta check
about.
him out. He's great.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of being pretty big here, but like in those movies, he's just excellent. Just such a like very subtle performer.
Yeah, interesting. Like I mean him and then like Laurence Olivier, I've only seen like Marathon Man with him, and maybe I saw
Oh
like
yeah,
Caperucci
I
and
haven't seen
Othello.
anything by Laurence Olivier, I think.
But that school of like Peter O'Toole, I've only seen like, well, I've seen him in a couple movies, you know, in Lawrence of Arabia, obviously being like the big one. But yeah, like that era of actors, you know, like I'm still kind of behind on my watching. British thespians. So it'll be interesting to see because I guess so. Yeah, the story in Gladiator 2 is that the boy grows up, but like in exile somewhere in some like Roman province, and
Right,
he's
right.
he's he's like it's like his mom sent him to a boarding school, but then something went awry over there, and
Oh,
then he comes
basically,
back.
yeah, that's what you would do back then, right?
Yeah, but
That's what they did to
I
fucking Alexander the Great. They just sent him. It's like, all right, go fucking study with Aristotle. Can you imagine? Like you, you just you're like the child who's gonna
uh,
conquer the world, and your teacher is Aristotle. I mean, that it doesn't get much better than that. Like that's peak.
yeah, the best I got was super camp when I was a kid. I got sent to super camp.
What is that?
It's a really weird, like, kind of culty, and there's actually been some scandal that's come out about that in the years
Oh
since. But like,
no, what are we
you
talking
like
about?
you like dance to like aerobics, like techno music in the morning, and it's basically just like feel good about yourself. Like, it's very much a Tony Robbins-esque kind of thing for kids that like I went to for a couple of years, and
Okay.
um, and I think Tony Robbins was involved at like some point later. But yeah, not exactly the Aristotelian tutelage I would have benefited from.
It's so funny how this like the gladiator mask has become I like people, they know it from this movie, but like for a whole group of people, they just I feel like they watch this and they're like, why is he wearing MF Doom's mask? And it's like,
Uh,
it's become this huge thing. Yeah,
I need to
okay.
start doing that on
This
my
this is
yeah.
the fun thing, Pat. All right, Pat, let's get down to brass tacks. So you're going into the fucking arena.
Hmm.
What weapon are you bringing?
Ooh, let's
What's your
see.
weapon of choice? You got, anything you want.
I want katana, obviously.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Just like
Fuck
Butch
you. The
Coolidge.
fucking
Yeah, that's
katana. Oh my God.
I want that curved blade. I want it to be big enough to really be able to
Uh-huh.
like bisect a guy, you know?
Okay, but like
And
there are bigger katanas. Like it's like I forget what they're called, but there's like bigger versions of that.
like a long like a scimitar, like a big
Jesus.
curved sword. Yeah. But something sword, I think sword, like you just want something sharp, but that
Yeah.
you can that's light enough to move around. Like I wouldn't want like a hammer or something.
Yeah, to
And
be
then
honest, I want to go for a spear. I want to keep those fuckers away
yeah,
from me. I want to be like
that's a
just
good idea.
if and you could throw it too. I mean, not that I'm a good shot or whatever, but spear I think is pretty versatile. When I played Dark Souls back in the day, that's all I would use. I just use spears.
Those games are so hard. Like I tried playing Elden Ring when it came out, and I just had to call it. Like I'm not as good a gamer enough to roll with that. But I love the idea of them. I mean, you know, I can see how it would be like very absorbing.
This is crazy, is that like the fall of Carthage was antiquity to the Romans. It's crazy
Yeah,
to
it's
think
like
like that was like ancient history to them. It's like fucking I don't know, like it's like there's ancient history to us.
that's why it's so like laughable in a way to compare America to the Roman Empire because it's so young, you know, and it's already doing so poorly. Like I don't know. Doesn't seem like they'll be comparable in the long view of history. Yeah, I always love this little bit where he's like they're all kind of free agents going into this battle, but then through the battle they start to fight as a unit, and that's how he's able to. I fucking love that kind of
Right,
thing.
but also this bit where like one of the other guys recognizes him and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh
it
yeah,
gives him
I fought with you."
oh, that's so cool. Okay, now see, one of my favorite minor characters in Gladiator is the woman with the archer on the back of the chariot in the gold armor. That's just a cool design. She just looks so powerful. Felt very sad for her when she got cut in half.
Oh, now the fucking wheel with the blade on that. Get that shit away from me. That
Yeah.
seems so fucking dangerous. It's like if the horses are at full gallop, that shit will just fucking cut through you. Like, just
Yeah.
can't even imagine. Well, I mean, can you imagine like you just put a fucking blade on the side of your car?
My dad's favorite move from this film is coming up when Jaimin Hansu tosses Maximus the sword and he catches it out of midair while he's on his horse. Now, like Roger Ebert, I remember like did not like this movie and hated on it quite a bit when it came out.
Why?
And well, one there, some people found the battles like visually incoherent or confusing, or like did not like this kind of yeah, more impressionistic or handheld like aesthetic that he
Well,
brought
it's
to
so
them.
funny because
But
now it's become like almost like a standardized thing.
yeah, but I mean, I never felt that way about this. In the way that, like, for instance, some like action scenes and like, you know, Taken or no, not Taken, like the Bourne sequels or like Transformers, like where those go really into overdrive with like the shaky
Yeah,
cam and like the
you know
cutting.
when I
Like
think
this is,
about it, it's interesting. I guess this was like somewhat of a new thing to see ancient history being portrayed in this way, you know? I could see
yeah,
that.
public enemies type. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, maybe people weren't used to it.
yeah. Joaquin
Oh
Phoenix has
my
some good
God. I
reaction
forgot
shots
she
here.
gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Oh, Ridley.
She's just riding a chariot, minding her own business, and this is what happens. Oh yeah, that bit where he just yanks the arrow out of his
Oh,
leg. Oh, so okay, so Ridley Scott's hostility towards historians about when it comes to like
oh
accuracy,
yeah.
quote unquote. Like
Yeah.
it began with that bow, that like multiple like
Yes,
that
well, the
repeater bow.
crossbow. Yeah.
But that's the
Which
perfect
didn't even
distillation
exist
of
in the
like,
fucking Renaissance or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's just an invention
yeah,
for this movie. I remember from the
who gives a
commentary,
shit? Yeah, yeah.
he basically went to the prop department, was like, give me some cool shit that I can put in one of the enemy's hands. And they were like, sure, we got you. You know, like some enterprising art designer was like, listen, I had this idea for a crossbow that's repeating. And it's like, wait a second, hold on, we can't even do this now.
Yeah, I mean, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's look, it's just sick as hell. That's all that matters in the movie.
Yeah, and I mean the poetic truth of it is that you know, the Roman Empire was just kind of like putting all their grandiosity on display, throwing everything at it, and it's an interpretation of like a toy that would have been wielded in a gladiator match back in those days.
Oh my God, the cuts to Commodus are so good. It's just so funny. Like whatever he's bad. I don't like that. So good.
Uh, yeah, Jamin Hansu. Love the debate lord Commodus here. He's just like, didn't they lose the battle? I was always struck by the Praetorians too, like the design. You know, these are like the King's Guard, to
Oh yeah.
Caesar. This is very like I watched a documentary about Vince McMahon recently, and this is very WWE. You know, this whole like aspect, like the boss comes out, you know, and like
Oh, sure.
takes
Yeah,
a
it
little bit,
is. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
and there's like that drama that happens in the ring, you know, that everybody's kind of like
Oh,
watching as
what WWE
teammates.
is just like the sanitized version of yeah what we have here, so where no one dies, or at least no one's supposed to.
Yeah, Vince McMahon's less of a Commodus and more of a Caligula. I wonder if the idea of Commodus grabbing a little kid and putting it in front of him was, I mean, clearly like he's consciously using the kid as a shield on the off chance that there's some threat to his person. I always
Yeah,
wondered about that.
basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, you gotta love that. That's some absolutely despicable shit. Yeah, I mean, you really get it why like this movie plays on cable at least 10 times a day, you know?
Oh,
Like,
totally. Well, it's
yeah.
built for that, right? Like, actually, it's like the perfect runtime where you can stretch this fucking like into like 4 hours of commercials, included.
Yeah. You gotta love too, like Russell Crowe just did not like the words that he was asked to say, but defended them with his life.
Yeah, this gets back to the motif though with Ridley as well. This idea of like brothers, because in a sense that's what Commodus and Maximus are, right? They're like, you know, like an adopted son and an actual son, and like they're both contesting over the legacy of a
Right.
father figure. Yeah, yeah, Ridley, he goes into this quite a bit. Like oftentimes his movies really operate around these two sons. It's in fucking the Alien Covenant.
Right.
It's in Blade Runner. It's in Duelists. It's in Duelists.
Yeah, the regressive and the natural offspring.
Yeah, it reminds me of Metal Gear Solid. Where you got
Oh,
we got
yes.
Solid Snake and Liquid Snake.
And I think my favorite by what?
Oh, sorry. I just remember the whole like thing with Liquid Snake possessing the arm and all that shit.
I'm
Anyway, go
I need
on.
to find enough. Yeah, no, I need to find enough time to replay those because I mean, especially since they're being remastered, like such great games. Those first three, and I never played the fourth one, Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, you never played the
Um,
fourth? Oh my God, dude.
is that the best one?
Well, I no, it's not, but it's great.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, it's makes me cry just to think about it. I'm just like,
mm.
it's just a lot of emotions in four.
So the big sequence with the tigers that's coming up is that's an easy favorite. I mean, in terms of action sequences in this,
Yeah, I
like
love tigers.
the, the most elaborate assassination attempt in history. You know that Commodus tries with Maximus.
Yeah, I love this bit. He's like, I'm terribly vexed.
I'm terribly vexed. Okay, so there was this one of the scenes in the extended cut is there's this big scene where Commodus has lined up like all of the soldiers that were like on the detail when he'd ordered for Maximus to be killed, and he wasn't. And you know, he just makes this big show of kind of like lining up everybody who was yeah, who was responsible to do it and failed in doing it, and then you know, has them firing squatted, and
Oh,
he uses
really?
this.
Okay.
Yeah, and he uses it to make a point to I'm trying to remember the name of the character, but there's a bald like lieutenant that's kind of like you know like one of his right hands, one of Commodus's right hands who like survives the transfer of power from the beginning. And he's that guy who like refuses to throw Commodus's sword at the end. Um and it,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so like the scene is about I think like Commodus wanted to scare that guy or like wanted to make a point that like, you know, if you're if I
Interesting.
ever
Yeah,
if I
that
question your
actually
loyalty,
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay.
so that could have been a scene they kept in. I'm guessing they were just most of the stuff they lost was just to kind of keep it the runtime reasonable.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that this is a very well-paced movie. Sometimes you just gotta let stuff go. I mean, I like having extended cuts because you just, you get all the little nitty-gritty details. That can be fun, but sometimes it's just nice to like have a movie that goes from point A to point B, speedy, and just moves.
Yeah, I mean, like I really like. I mean, returned to it a couple times. The Last Jedi, which has a lot of deleted scenes, a lot of stuff left on the cutting room floor. I mean, even Evelyn liked The Last Jedi. Like that's just a well-made and satisfying Star Wars movie in a way that none of that crap is or has been for a while. And like, yeah, and the cuts were all for the sake of pacing. You know what I mean? Like, kill your darlings. You know, just to make the best possible version of whatever the story is.
Yeah, I will not let this Last Jedi praise go unadorned
Did you see it?
on on my fucking on my commentaries. Yeah, I fucking hate that movie.
Oh, you hate it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like any of those movies, but you know.
No, I mean, it's all we seem to get now. So any resentment or scorn is 1000% justified. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the one that people like become really in love with. I'm just like, I don't know. I just Ryan Johnson's whole like very self-conscious style of filmmaking, I think, is just grotesque.
yeah. Well, I'm
See,
not
I love this
exactly.
shit of where she's like, this bullshit. He's like, my son was innocent. She's like, oh, so is mine. It's like, hold on, wait a second though. But like, your son's still alive though. Like, you know what I mean? It's not exactly equal.
Is the argument she's making that you know that not to leave him motherless or trying to
Well, I think she's playing realpolitik. She's like
yeah
trying to just get him in the mindset that of like strategy and tactics that he could win by like playing the the audience against Commodus in a way. And so I think she's just trying to like talk sense into him. But it's like very much like I don't know, like if someone it's like if my kid got killed by your fucking you know, and it's like, oh, but it's not. It's kind of different though, and it's like, well, wait a second, but but of course though, her son is kind of he's a part of the ruling class, right?
yeah he's the kid from Unbreakable. That's why I always remember him around this time. You know, I always thought their relationship was ill-defined. Like it's weird because like the first time they meet
Yeah, I
each
don't really
other,
get it.
yeah, like it seems almost like maybe they'd had like a fling or something like while he was on this military campaign or that they had
Yeah,
some yeah, but then there's a tenderness that it lands on at the end that I think is very well acted by both of them. But yeah, I mean, I think that like there just isn't
yeah,
wasn't like
I don't really understand. Maybe like the sequel will explain it.
yeah.
Yeah, this whole shit though, where she's like, oh, I knew a man who served Rome well. What I don't really understand is like, I don't know, he still seems like the same guy. Like, it's not like like Maximus is like, I'm a different man now. It's like, nah, he's still fucking, he's like the guy, right? Like, I don't, I don't really get that. I
Well, I
guess
think the idea,
she's trying to appeal to like basically like don't be totally selfish or whatever. But it's not like he's become like some like, oh, I'm ruthless now or whatever.
yeah, well, I mean, I think the idea maybe is that like Maximus was, if you ended up on the other side of his sword, that it was only for the best, from the best intentions. And now that he's doing this blood sport and just kind of like giving himself in, and now he's got this single-minded quest for revenge rather than like the greater good. Like I guess that's what she's calling him out on. But
Sure. Well, she's just
yeah,
trying to
it's
protect her kid, I guess, and just make him aware of that. But we've seen the Colosseum before. It's like, he wasn't gonna hurt him with the kid there. So it's kind of like, yeah, it just seems to me like there's some scenes in this movie where like you could tell like Ridley's like, all right, we need to say this like twice, just so the audience understands it.
God, that little joke where he pretends to be poison is so fucking funny. Like that makes the movie, like, just those little moments of levity. You gotta like, because I remember, so we watched The King once with Timothy Chalamet, and you fucking hated it, and you said that it reminded you of what the incorrect criticisms that people will make about Ridley Scott, that they're too dour and they're too like kind of
Yeah,
monochrome and
totally.
like, and but I think this is a good example of like a bit of color that yeah, that like, he's always slipping that into his films, I mean, even The Last Duel for his like um
Yeah,
as cruel as that
Ridley's
was,
never he's not interested in like, yeah, like belaboring things too much. He's willing to pepper and add some like just some variance in what he's doing. He's not
hmm
single-minded.
I bet that bread was pretty good before Dodger dogs were invented.
Yeah, this is some really heavy shit though, like literally bread. And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Ridley, we get it.
Now is that like okay? I don't think it is, but is that Hugh Keys Byrne, the guy who plays Immortan Joe in Fury Road?
Oh shit. Oh,
It'd
I
be cool if
don't
it was,
know.
and I just
You know
didn't know there
what?
was
Let me
somebody
look it
that.
up. I don't know actually.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, I love the aged gladiator brought out of retirement. Stone Cold Steve Austin to lay the smackdown on Maximus.
No, it's not the guy who plays in Morton Joe.
Oh, okay.
He's like, yeah, just like a. Well, there's two guys who have played in Morton Joe, but like both of them are just Australian actors.
Mm-hmm. We are but shadows and dust, Maximus. That's such a like great writerly line. We're but shadows and dust.
Well, you could tell. I mean, this is him like very much in like trying to do Shakespeare stuff. It's
hmm
just so Uh, I mean, upon reflection now, like a lot of it is I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I want to express criticism. I love it though. It is like it's like pop culture Shakespeare in a way.
We who are about to die salute you. Yeah, that faceplate with like the one tear coming down on one side. I always love the design of that.
It's cool.
I think too, as a kid, like most of us, like I was just so into like animals and dinosaurs and things like that, and so like
Oh, of course. Well,
when,
yeah, like this is like kid-tastic stuff.
right, so when they roll out like the big cats, I'm just like, oh my God, that's so cool. Now that shot looks like a painting, that big wide of him. I guess this was based on a painting, or like the story of the making of the movie
Yeah.
was that like there was a painting of a gladiator that Ridley Scott saw, and I love whenever the influence of like painting or different forms legitimately you can see come through in the design of the movie, or like the way that it like it becomes this anchor for like everything the movie is. Like I think like I was just thinking the
Well,
other day
painters are
about
great for this, especially historical painters, because they necessarily have to consider every single detail, right? Like you have to depict all these little knobs and ends of what life would look like during this time. So it provides a very visceral depiction, right? Like you understand, like, oh, this is like I see, what the architecture looks like, what the people are wearing. Like it's very researched.
yeah, I mean, and I mean, you look at like Francis Bacon, for example, like responsible for two of the greatest characters in cinema. It's like I really was very influenced by him when making Alien, and then Heath Ledger's Joker. Like absolutely an evocation of the Francis Bacon paintings. And even the makeup and like just everything about that character. Um, reminds me that I need to consume more art. That
When
character
when
actor,
he gets them in the toe, it's real good.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Can I tell you, consuming art is an oxymoron. You don't consume art, you experience it,
No,
my
I
friend.
know. I just I couldn't think of a better word. What's a better word? Interpreting art, looking at
Experiencing
art,
art, my friend.
experiencing. I'm sorry. You know what I meant, right?
Yeah, don't you ever call yourself a consumer in my presence. Don't you ever do
Hmm.
this. It's a disservice to yourself.
Hmm.
Now, see, this reminds me of yeah, Thunderdome, where he's like he goes to
Yeah.
kill him, but then like he takes off the mask.
Master Blaster is a little bit more sympathetic than this guy, though.
Yeah. Well, it would just be Blaster, right?
Oh, right. Just Blast. Yeah.
Please, Master Blaster was my father's name. Just call me MB.
So yeah, that character actor with the scars on his face. I've always really liked him. He was in Braveheart, and then he was in this.
Oh,
But he's been around in films like for a long time now. This makes me think of obviously there's the spectacle of politics and performance of it, and the private and the public, and how that all kind of like nests together. And like many of us, I'm just sickened by like the spectacle of our politics. Like I really need to like it. I need to cut it out of my life, like I've needed to cut other substances out of my life, because it's not. It's becoming something that's only a subtraction from the quality of my life. It's not adding to it really at all.
Oh, I forgot they fucking nailed his son at the cross. Yeah, that shit's crazy. It's like it, it's so funny. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but like Christianity has the cross is such a powerful icon that you forget that like the Romans just did that shit to everyone. Like everyone got fucking crucified, you know? Like it was just a
Yeah,
thing.
one
It
of the
was just
worst
like
tortures. Yeah.
but it was just like it's regular. That's what's done.
We always love when two characters find each other in a crowd.
So do you consider this a revenge movie?
Yeah, I suppose I do, just because
Because I never think about it like that, but it totally is, right? But in my head, I just always think about it as, it's Gladiator.
yeah, well, it always seemed like an abstraction to me, the kind of like the broader story of what's happening in Rome, or like, what's happening what's happening to the country as a consequence of um what Maximus is doing in the ring or whatever. I always like thought
Right.
the thing that like made the most sense to me was just that it's like personal war of wills going on between Maximus and Commodus. And so yeah, and in the purest sense, that's a revenge movie. And the movie ends as soon as he crosses that item off his list. And it always felt organic enough to me that they would end up in the ring together. I think the movie did a pretty good job of both like kind of telegraphing that that's where it was going, but also springing it on us in a way that felt pretty breathless. Like I by the time Maximus he gets arrested and he's strung up, and then like Commodus comes out in that white armor. I felt like yeah we're off to the races. Oh, I like this little bit of dialogue about there is a snake.
Yeah, because he talks like a sea snake too.
Yeah. I love the way the music gets in. Like this is kind of like the section of the movie where that's they're telling you that there's some court intrigue that's kind of like that becomes the terrain of
Right,
combat then for
right,
this.
right.
Yeah.
There's fucking
Skullduggery afoot.
yeah, skullduggery.
I remember when I first watched this, like I felt like a pang of excitement, like at the idea of like, oh shit, he's gonna wake up all those troops that are in Germania that are just, basically like Trade Federation robots just like waiting to be activated, and then they're gonna ride in and
Yeah, battle
save
droids.
him. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
But yeah, that
Lord.
doesn't happen. That's kind of yeah. I mean, I was in high school when I watched this. Like, I hadn't read any Shakespeare or anything yet, and So this is kind of like my first intro to like, yeah, this these types of like intrigue plots, court intrigue and backstabbing, and like when Maximus stages his prison break, only to just be like set upon by soldiers that had they knew that they knew to wait for him to ambush him or whatever. You just it's such a gut punch. You're just like, oh. I was just I'm so stupid. I was just like, this is like when The Rock meets Chuck Schumer. So speaking of Shakespeare, like Jacoby is like one of those veterans of like, he's the Shakespeare actor. He's been in so many things over the years. And I think like that's you need one of those guys in the cast
Right,
um,
right.
that just that are able to shorthand. I think he was in I Claudius. Did you ever watch that? That was like a kind of like a
Oh, yeah. No, I haven't seen it. I think I know what you're talking about, though.
yeah, it was like kind of a BBC you know I think it was about the reign of Augustus. I think that was read the book a while ago.
Now, this is a particularly, yeah, like Roman and then inherited American ideal of power. It's like it's become it was like what Rome failed to do, like what the ideal was, right? Of like the idea of like, oh, here's the general who then like gets success and then like doesn't seize power with his army, right? Like that ideal of oh, it's not quite chivalry, but like something adjacent to that, right? Like honor, a sense of duty, and then like that becomes the model for people like George Washington, right? The guy who, if anyone was going to be a dictator in like the early American scene, it was going to be him. And like he
Yeah,
doesn't do that, right? Like he steps down and he just goes back to his estate, right? There's something to this that's like it is a very it's a motif with a lot of I think power. This idea of like someone who like gets to the precipice of absolute leadership and dominion and then like turns away from it.
which is not something I would expect, or that I think is healthy to expect out of leaders. That
Oh no
I think
no!
that like
Come on,
Yeah,
Pat.
yeah.
Come on, Pat. Everyone would do this, of course. It's the normal thing to do.
They did such a great job of like restructuring the movie just very subtly so that we were not aware. I mean, I was not aware when I watched it at all that Oliver Reed died before filming all of his scenes. I think there was a bit more for him to do. But yeah, I mean, they even managed to like. I mean, definitely when you watch it now, you can see the seams a little bit. But like, yeah, I thought that like it was a full performance, even though like they didn't end up getting everything they needed.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm just glad that it is what it is because Nowadays you would have some fucking garish like CGI face bullshit.
Oh God, yeah.
Thankfully, they are not doing that here.
She's strikingly beautiful.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't become a bigger star.
Yeah, Will Menaker on the podcast was talking about there's some movie she did before this or around this time that it probably got her the Gladiator job that she's supposed to be fantastic in, and I need to research look it up what that movie was because yeah, I think around this time the only other thing I saw her in was the Devil's Advocate.
Who the hell is Will Menaker?
He's the Chapo Trap House like DJ or whatever. He's like the main guy, but he does a lot of
Oh,
movie. Like
okay.
he has this podcast called Movie Mindset where they'll talk
Oh, is
about all
that where
these
that
movies.
phrase comes from?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised if he coined it. It's a great phrase, though. I mean,
No,
like
I think yeah, I think that's probably where it comes from. Yeah, this whole Chapo thing.
yeah, I mean, they really go they go all out in making this guy a creeper.
Yeah, I was really gonna bring back the incest for Gladiator 2. I guess we'll see.
Ah, yeah. I love that. Like I've seen the trailers for that like once or twice, but then stopped myself and like I'm going in fairly fresh, so
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect from it, but you know, I think it's reasonable that my expectations are high. I love seeing the billboards for Gladiator 2 now when I'm driving around. Like it's hopefully a lot of people show up, like because the last duel didn't do too well financially. I think probably same as House of Gucci, and it would be great to kind of like get a real really crowd pleaser back.
Oh, I love these guys showing up in the dark cloaks. It's very
Yeah, yeah.
it's very mystery of the druids. uh, I guess druids back in the day, and yeah, this was Roman times. There were druids hanging out. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath. Uh, maybe it'll be popular, maybe it won't. I don't know about you. I get the feeling that Wicked movie is gonna make like $1 billion for some fucking reason. Uh,
Yeah, well, it does seem to
I
be the season of horrible things being very popular. So, yeah.
don't. Gee whiz, listener, can you imagine when we're recording this episode? No, whatever. Everything is a time capsule.
Yeah. See, now this is really low. Like, I like this, the tenderness of this scene between them, even though it's kind of unearned. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but like the way that the emotion that they're investing it with rings true.
Right, right.
Yeah, like in Braveheart, like it was always kind of despicable that like Mel Gibson made like the British like they're evil and they're also gay, and that's why they're evil. And in this, they don't do
Well,
that.
because there's
That
no
like
other
there's not
reason
a
to be evil than to be gay, right?
right, right, and there's in the conception of Commodus, like there's no homophobia really in it. I mean, he's up
Well,
to
he's just kind of yeah, he's more like a petulant child like character.
yeah.
'Cause I think very much, at the beginning and the end of the movie, you see like, he can fight, in a way. Like he's not like completely ineffectual. I think it's just more like he's never an experience that's meaningful that can temper his I don't know, his irrational moods and just give him a sense
Hmm.
of character.
Yeah, I do love that like action movie code of like if you show a guy training with a sword in the beginning, like he must use that sword before the end.
Of
It's
course, that's why you put it
yeah.
in there. Yeah, 100%.
And I love this, and you touch about on it a lot in your writing, but like with the films, they're not very like high-minded as a medium. Like there's like kind of like a simplicity in communication and like a real like it's it's a from the heart kind of expression, not from the brain. Um,
Sure. Well, I
and
think
like
you
when
can
it's
do
at its
both
best.
ultimately, but I would say like before you strike a chord with some great idea you've had, you have to make it visceral first. You have to make it
Yes.
strike some feeling that matters. And if you can do that, then you can then go and say, okay, then how do we make it complex and nuanced and intelligent? I think like that's totally great. Like you should want both, but a film with, I think, powerful feelings and no ideas is inherently better than a film with, all these high-minded ideas, but has no idea how to make you feel them or, have any meaningful impression outside of just, oh, but this is what you're supposed to be thinking. It's like, no, it's either you are or you aren't. There's no like, I can't. It's like if you were, writing something and you're like, well, this is what I actually meant. It's like, well, did you communicate that in your writing? Well, no, you
Hmm.
didn't. So
One of the best moments in this movie. I mean, I
yeah,
think
see,
about
this
it.
is this weird thing where it's like it's almost, he is like an adult child in a way, you know? Like there's something just fundamentally immature about him. It's like him hanging out with her kid and like just having it be like, "Oh yeah, we're buddies," like that type of thing. Like it's kind of I don't think it's like pedophilic. I think it's more like he just is like Commodus is just like a man baby in a way.
Yeah, that kind of adolescent rage and like, his emotions can turn on a dime. Kind of like there's very like there's no tempered quality to him. He always looks like he's on the verge of just like, yeah, just breaking down. I'm the way I'm a sicko is I actually like Joker too.
It's okay, that was random.
Well, no, I'm just thinking about him, and the last time I saw him in a movie was,
Oh yeah.
a couple weeks ago, I guess. But yeah, but it's just it all plays out on his face, and it's the movie like a lot of movies with Joaquin Phoenix, like the movie is just a sandbox that's all kind of like organized around him doing the character. But I was gonna say his monologue, when I don't know if she's tied up later on, but it's like after Maximus is arrested. It's the "Am I not merciful" monologue, and
Right.
yeah, I mean just bone chilling. Like I think that's one of the highlights of the movie.
Yeah, Ridley does a lot of great stuff with candlelight in this, which is really good. Looks fantastic. Oh, I love these
Yeah, that's the
flame
opportunity.
silhouettes.
Right, if you're going to tell a movie set in this period, you got to use those candles.
This is an old school trick. You fucking put a snake in someone's bed.
Okay, so yeah, that's a double of Proximo. So like this whole scene is basically had to be reconstructed without Oliver Reed. Right? So he's like, "Are you in danger of becoming a good man?" And this reminds me a little bit of like I never saw All the Money in the World, but that is a movie that he had
Oh,
to re
yeah.
shoot around an actor that he yanked out.
Yeah, I never thought about that, but yeah, he has had practice with it. Yeah, I mean, that All Man in the World is a genuine miracle because he did that shit in like 2 weeks or something, which is crazy to think about.
I loved like the balls of that. Like as soon as the
Well,
story
it
broke,
just
or as soon
shows
as
you like how robust of a director he is, where he's just like, I can do that. Like most directors would be like, fuck that. You know, it sounds, it's like
well,
why
no,
would
it's
you would
like
just like you would be like, forget, I'm not gonna bother. But some, really it's like, no, I'm doing it.
right. Well, it's the elevated. It's like he compromised, but also stuck to his guns. You know, like it's the most elevated
Yeah, well, I think it
way of
shows
dealing
kind
with
of
that
the
issue.
arc of his career, though, is that it's like sometimes he does make these compromises, but then it's like you get these extended cuts, and you're like, wait a second, this is, and like, yeah, I just wish that he like, I don't know, it's kind of the Ridley thing, so it's you buy the ticket, you take the ride, but yeah, I just wish that's like, Kingdom of Heaven. Why didn't we get, why didn't have this movie be like a proper epic, have it be treated with like a roadshow thing? But it came out in a time when that really wasn't a thing that was going on, right? Maybe you could
Well,
do it now, right? As like a mega production, you could do that type of thing. But ultimately, no. Like it just was. Yeah, I just think really he's a filmmaker out of time in some ways.
I mean, I don't know how to not chalk what happened with Kingdom of Heaven up to just the regime at Fox, which I've heard stories about. Just it's idiocy. It's like a Zaslav type thing where it's just
Oh
like this
sure. Well,
guy,
that's
he
why they
made
fucking sold
Gladiator.
themselves to Disney.
Yeah, I mean, this Gladiator not only was like a huge box office hit, but I think it won Best Picture, right? It won a bunch of
Yeah.
Oscars.
Well, the thing
It
is,
was like,
nowadays though, like I think this is the beginning of the end where like none of that stuff means anything anymore.
yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, but that's like what will always mystify me about Kingdom of Heaven being so unceremoniously hatcheted is that like this could have been as big as it gets, you know. But
Right. Yeah. Well, you could fucking all the Oscars in the world, and I'll tell you what, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, great. Now come work on our franchise movie." And it's like that's not what I want to do.
yeah, so this dawn in the grim new reality is just like I don't know, it's very powerful for me. Like I just he's consolidated his power and then he just kind of gets to basically
Right. Well, a lot of this stuff looks like, yeah, it is like Blade Runner, like when they're in the fucking pyramid and like
yes.
the thing pans away and you just see the sun like coming in, then it gets filtered through the blinds.
Yeah, there's this aspect of like his character's truly born now. Like, you know, because he doesn't need to you're just getting a one to one. You know, he doesn't need to like pussyfoot around it at all. He just gets to state his desires and his intentions, and these are the consequences. and it's like very powerful to put this scene right before the climax because it imbues the fight with all these additional stakes. Like, you know, Commodus must be defeated after
Right.
this.
Oh my God, we're already near the end. Holy shit. Fucking damn, this movie goes by fast. What the fuck? This is the thing. Like, bad guys always talk about ruling in increments of 1,000 years. It'll be 1,000 year empire, it'll be 1,000 year Reich. Never plan on 1,000 years. It's a bad idea.
Right?
Like, I just want
The
to say,
higher
like,
the number goes up.
like, no, but if it's like, yeah, but if your benchmark is like 1,000 years, you're a bad guy. Like, that's how bad guys talk. Like, no one ever wants them to last for 1,000 years. It's a good person.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's notable that like at the end of the Confederacy, right? Like those guys thought that this was going to be the system forever, or
Yep.
they were they were the new Romans. Um, they felt like that just yeah the moment before it all blew up. I love his armor design in this scene. I always thought that was impeccable. So that line, like, "Are you not a man who says death smiles at us all?" Like, I almost think like they should have had him say that line earlier on. Like, it seems like a callback to something that he would have said earlier on. But
Yeah, maybe it's a deleted scene.
yeah,
I don't know if it's a reference to like some famous saying either. Maybe it's just something that the writer
right.
made up. This is the thing
Yeah,
too. Like Maximus now is like made into, he's made into like a
like a
Christ
Christ-like figure.
who
Yeah.
goes down fighting. You know, it's like, what if Christ was a badass? You know, like it is like Ridley's version of Jesus.
Well, I remember people making fun of the Passion of the Christ when it came out. Like there's the scene where like the kind of the most brutal scene where Jesus is being tortured, and like there's a part where like he gets knocked down by like one of the like by one of the soldiers, the Roman soldiers, and then he does like this Rambo thing where he gets back on his feet, like with his badass look in his eyes, like I could take more, just and that's some Mel Gibson revision there. Like that's not his Jesus has a little bit more, I guess, like action movie grit than we've come to expect.
Well, I don't know what this says, but I feel like Ridley would only respect a Jesus who knows how to kill. He's just like, fuck, I have some pragmatic ideas. This is great though. I love like all the fucking rose petals around them, and just like
Yeah, I've always liked
the
that touch.
contrast to that. Like, look, it looks like I don't know. It's almost like a Kurosawa thing. It's like late Kurosawa, like fucking
Mm.
like Kagemusha or something.
What would you say would have been Ridley's main cinematic influence for this?
For this movie.
Yeah, would have been something by Kurosawa?
Well, Kurosawa's yeah, like he takes a lot from him,
No,
particularly these
right.
historical movies. Like, there's a lot of DNA and something like this. Uh, yeah, him, Kubrick, obviously. I mean, Ridley's weird because he doesn't really talk about like he talks about stuff that he likes sometimes, but he's not really too concerned with arranging himself in a cinematic history in the way that some directors do. Like, he comes across as a guy who is more influenced in general by the arts than by cinema, which I think is, in its way a good thing.
Yeah. Keeps
But
the polluted, yeah.
yeah, he's not like a Tarantino or whatever who, like, if you, you know, if you told me that Tarantino had never fucking seen a painting before, I would have believed you. Like, he just seems like a very narrowly cultured individual. But yeah, Ridley, I also feel like, he's interested in, uh, like, I think a sense of immediacy, but a history of the arts. And yeah, yeah, it's hard. It's hard with him because I never know. Sometimes I wonder if he just watches stuff and he's like, "That's what I'm into now." Sometimes maybe, I don't know. I also feel like he is very much like collaborating with his cinematographers, and that influences his style a great deal. Like, what they want to go for is it often tends to make his movies feel, I don't know, more or less like stylistically unified. Yeah, like because he's made so many films with Darius Wolski, and I think when you look at the films they made together, they're more and more incoherent. Sorry, not incoherent, but they're more and more coherent as a part of
Hmm.
a unity. Although he's not shooting Gladiator 2 with Wolski, he's back with oh god, I forget who shot this. Is it Russell Bailey? Did I get that right?
Let me look it up.
Oh no, John Matheson. Yes, that's right. Yeah, because it's like, Kurosawa, you look at technique, really does a lot in this movie. There's not a lot of, Kurosawa doesn't do handheld or whatever. He's not that type of filmmaker. But in terms of composition, especially with like scope, there is a fair bit of it, I think. Just a lot of influence. But the thing is, Kurosawa is just one of the most influential directors ever. So it's like, who is really influenced by Kurosawa, Kubrick, and, like just like the most robust, I think, popular artists of the medium by and large. But then also just really has this, arts background, so he's able to draw from that, I think, a great deal.
Yeah. Like he said, cutting or directing. I don't know if it was 100 or 1,000. It was probably like 100, but like 100 commercials and music videos. You know,
Oh, 100. No,
mostly
he
commercials.
fucking talks about like directing like 4,000 commercials, which is crazy to me.
But that was, where he learned the nuts and bolts of how to make. Like I
Well,
have a
I think
friend.
at that point when you've got that much experience, you're kind of beyond influences, Like, in a way,
Yeah,
you just do the work. And sometimes you get inspired by this or that, but really, like, you're just a craftsman at that point. Oh, see, I love this stuff with like this burnished blue afterlife imagery that he
yeah, that
flashes
was a nice
towards.
touch.
It's very beautiful. And now we get the Lisa Gerard wailing, which is like, it's become a cliche now. I don't know. Do you think Ridley has listened to Dead Can Dance? He was like, yes, we need this.
Absolutely, absolutely. On the vineyard.
He's just, yeah, he's playing, he's playing into the labyrinth. He's just like sipping his
Yeah.
wine. It's fucking good wine.
I would bet too he's got like a lot of like nice cashmere sweaters that he'll just lounge around in, some
Yeah,
Italian loafers.
seems like
Just
a big
yeah.
sweatpants guy.
So apparently, so when they'd written the movie, when Nick Cave had written the sequel to Gladiator, they were gonna extrapolate from these dream sequences, kind of like an afterlife that Maximus would be inhabiting, and then they would kind of find a way to tell the story of Maximus, not in the real world, but in like Hades,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the
like
thing.
a
He was like,
wild
it was like
idea.
a real like graphic novel idea of, yeah, he's going to hell. And he
Which
comes back. It's like Army of the Dead almost, or not Army of
right,
the
and
Dead,
it's
Army of Darkness.
yeah, with the dancing skeletons and stuff. Yeah. Maybe if this movie had been received differently and it wasn't this kind of prestige darling, they could have gotten a little bit more wild and pulp with the sequel.
Yeah, I know. The Prestige tends to keep away that stuff, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. Now, I like this movie, but can I tell you this whole like speech that she gives at the end of it? This is the kind of like stuff that I hate. Like this is like, it's like, oh, but what is Rome? And does not Rome mean something? And I'm like, all right, now, come on, now. We don't have
Well,
to do this.
yeah, I mean, I'm really big on like when the movie ends, when you reach the point where reach the apex of our interest in what's
Yeah,
happening.
well,
Leave, just get the fuck out of there.
this
Yeah,
yeah, this whole bit reads as like Ridley trying to reach for something that he doesn't quite have. Like it's a little bit of a garnish on top of, like it should have just
yeah.
ended with him and his family in the afterlife, and that would have been fine. Like this, yeah, all this bullshit. I mean, actually, ending with Jomon Hansu like
Yeah,
putting
cut
it
to
in
this.
the
Yeah,
yeah, like this would be
yeah.
great ending. This is a great ending, but all that stuff about like is Rome worth one man's life? I'm like, no, this is. I mean, it's a bit too writerly for me. I'm like, this is you're trying hard to have it be like more meaningful when actually the meaning could just be like conveyed in this more intimate way. Like you don't
Right.
have
Well,
to
it's kind of
intellectualize it.
exactly. Well, like the story of Maximus is that like briefly he tries to touch the political realm, or he's elevated to that position, or they attempt to elevate him, and then he's summarily
Right.
owned
It's
when
his
that
story.
happens. And so
Like
yeah,
the audience doesn't care. We care about Maximus and Commodus, and when both of them are dead, like the movie should be over more or less. Like it
yeah.
shouldn't be this like, but what about Rome? Like the audience doesn't care about Rome. Ah, this is a great shot. Fuck. Yeah, some of these digital mats, they've aged like fucking vineyard of wine.
It's funny. So this came out. The other big movie that summer was MI2, and I remember seeing MI2 a bunch of times in theaters, and then this one.
Oh
Um,
yeah, good
just had
double
a
bill.
ball. Yeah.
Just watching Tom Cruise's hair swoosh around.
Yeah. I think that's gonna happen. One of these days, I'll grow my hair out.
Do it,
I
man.
haven't in a
Do
long
it.
time. But yeah, Tom Cruise makes it look good. Well, it certainly holds up. But I think I've seen this one enough times. Like, you know, maybe when I'm old and infirm, I can return to it. Yep, John Matheson. Oh, and Arthur Max, the production designer. I think that was the same production designer. Potentially. Let me look it real quick.
Where do you figure this ranks for you on your Ridleys? Is this top five?
Yeah, yeah, probably. It's just so solid, you know. It's like when you were
Yeah,
talking
it
about
just
the
works.
high heights, the high heights and the low lows. Like I think that there's just like a consistent goodness to this, and also like I feel like it's a decent microcosm of why we love Ridley Scott so much. Like it's
Yeah, yeah. I feel like
it,
this is kind of yeah. It's just like you could just appreciate this, but I think everyone can. Like, it's a pretty accessible movie.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You do
I don't.
such good lists. I need to work
Yeah,
on my list, but yeah.
I don't know if it would. I don't even know if it's in my top 10, to be honest. Maybe it is actually. I don't know. I'd have to look at it again. Yeah, but I mean, of course, I like it. It's quite good. I will watch it many more times in my life. It's just very dependable and sturdy. Probably watch the extended cut next time. Uh, yeah. Oh, second unit director Alexander Witt. Is that the guy who directed fucking what is it? He directed the second Resident Evil movie, Apocalypse.
Oh, really?
I'm
Let me
pretty
look it
sure,
up.
yeah. He's like a big second unit guy. He's worked with everyone. Like just
Yes, exactly.
everyone.
Resident Evil Apocalypse. Yep. Second unit on Body of Lies.
Yeah, Body of Lies. Yeah, what Body of Lies commentary, Pat?
That's the only Ridley Scott movie I didn't finish actually. I just like halfway through I'm just like I hate this. I stopped
Yeah,
watching
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
good. It's not good. Body of Lies, dude. Terrible name, by the way, too. Fucking hell.
Yeah. It
What the
was
hell
really
is a
like
body of lies?
I felt like everybody was kind of at sea, like just trying to figure out what they were
Yeah. Well,
doing. Yeah.
also, there's this problem too. Like making like movies. There's not a lot of great movies about the Afghan Iraq wars. There's just not good ones. Like there's like a couple ones that are like okay, kind of, but more or less it just unlike Vietnam, which well seems morbid to say, but there's quite a few good Vietnam movies or movies dealing with the subject of Vietnam. Uh, yeah, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan just do not exactly inspire great art for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, I mean it's just like this kind of corporatized massive campaign of violence like
Yeah.
as
Well,
drab as
if
it
you made an
gets, as
honest
depressing as
version
it
of
gets.
it,
Yeah.
you're basically yeah, like it's gonna be a bummer.
Yeah. I'm kind of the outlier with like I actually thought Vice was pretty interesting. The way that I think they tried to
Oh,
tell too
Vice.
much.
Oh no.
I mean, if you compare that like to other movies about like the war on terror, like telling
Well,
that
it
story,
did
yeah,
try. Yeah, I see what you mean. Well, yeah.
it's just this Gonzo kind of like interpretation of it all. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's a widely hated movie. Nobody really seems to like it.
So, how many theater releases got left in them? How many?
I'm gonna
Like Gladiator
say
2 coming out. The guy is what? He's like 83.
four. I'm gonna say four. Because he's gonna die with a viewfinder in his hand. Like he's not gonna, he'll probably
Yeah.
die while he's in the middle of making one, or like right when he wraps. So like, I think he's gonna make it as long as Clint, and I'm not gonna wood for that.
Yeah.
I hope so at least, but I think yeah,
We'll see. We'll see. I hope he keeps getting the money for it. That'd be nice.
yeah. I
Yeah, I just don't want him to like I hope I don't know. I hope these like new Alien movies do kind of well, just so that he has like a buoy with that, but maybe not. Who knows?
mm.
I think he'll be fine. He's always been fine. No, I actually wasn't entertained. Sorry, Maximus.